What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over yesterday's update changes and the Shadow of the Phantasm Wild Week items that were added and how it affects the meta in Fortnite. I've been able to play about 10 hours or so on this update, so I have a lot of experience with these weapons in the current meta, playing against them, using them, all of that, and I'm going to talk about what they're good for and if you should or shouldn't be using them. If you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what your favorite loadout has been since this update has released. So this update added 4 new items: the suppressed scar, the suppressed SMG, the shadow bomb, and the shield bubble. And then another change that really affects the way the game plays is going to be that the Dragon Ball Z item spawn rate was reduced. So there used to be vending machines that you could buy the Dragon Ball Z items at. You can no longer do that, and you can only get them from capsules. And I believe the capsules spawn less frequently, and that changes the game quite a bit, and we'll get back to that later on in the video. So we're going to start out with the suppressed SMG because I feel like this is the most kind of cut and dry of the items they added. The suppressed SMG in the past was more of a hybrid weapon than anything else. It was more of longer range than most of the other SMGs, but not quite as good of range as an AR. It was more of a middle ground between an AR and an SMG, and it would kind of be good if you wanted to use something like shotgun, the suppressed SMG, and then a sniper. Rather than using 4 weapons, you can get by with 3 because the suppressed SMG can kind of fill the role of both an SMG and a sniper, and an AR to an extent. But I feel like right now in the game, there's weapons that do that just much better. If you wanted to use that setup, I feel like the hammer AR or the combat AR are just much better options. Even the sidearm pistol, I feel like would fit into that type of loadout quite well. And the suppressed SMG just really can't compete with those items, in my opinion. And when it comes to it actually being an SMG, I feel like the Stinger SMG is far and away better if you want an SMG for close range or to complement with your shotgun. The suppressed SMG is a good weapon, don't get me wrong. You're not completely useless if you get it off spawn, but I just don't think it is better than the other options that are currently in the game. So I really don't see myself using this much. The only thing I really could think of is if ammo is a huge concern for you and your team, maybe you could have one player use the suppressed SMG and then drop their AR ammo to somebody, and then have that player give their SMG ammo to the person using the SMG or the suppressed SMG as their main weapon. But that is incredibly niche, and I feel like ammo is rarely that much of a concern. So I don't think the suppressed SMG is really worth using much at all. The shield bubble is a pretty interesting item. It's a bubble that you can throw down and it protects you. This is something that doesn't get that much use in public matches, in my opinion. It can be really good and competitive. Really, the only time I've used it personally is going to be this clip here, where this was a really open zone endgame, so I chose to drop my boogie bombs for the shield bubble, and then I got ahead of zone, threw the shield bubbles down, and then kind of just played the edge of the shield bubbles to get damage in on people while also being protected. This was a very, very, very specific situation in the game, and a lot of it stemmed from the fact that this zone was just really wide open, and I knew most people were kind of underneath me when this play first started, so I could just get ahead of zone, play the edge of the shield bubble like a weirdo, and then eventually just end up getting the win. And that's what happened, but this isn't something I'm going to be carrying most of the time. If I did want to carry something for cover, it would be the Portafort, but it's still just not something I'm going to use much, and it is something that I feel like in Zero Build competitive would have a lot of use, or maybe even in squads, but even then, I don't know. But in public matches, I just don't really see this being that useful, or that it has its uses, but it's very specific, and most of the time in Fortnite, you want to carry the items that are going to be good in most situation because you only have 5 inventory slots. You're very limited on what you can carry. So carrying an item that's very specific or has a very niche use usually isn't the way to go. So I don't see myself using the shield bubble much at all. The next item is going to be the smoke bomb. And this again is kind of going to follow the same case of the shield bubble. There's uses and there's times where it might be really helpful for you. But more often than not, it's not something that you're really going to go out of your way to carry. And it's going to be something that's more useful if you just don't have other options. Because as a mobility item, it's okay. You can actually make it infinite by chaining your jump and slides appropriately. Basically, you just get into the loop of double jump and then slide. And then before the slide runs out, you double jump again. And then before you actually touch the ground, you slide. And you just rinse and repeat that. And you never actually get knocked out of the shield or the smoke bomb animation unless Epic ends up patching it. And you could do that and it's nice, but I just don't think it's better than other mobility items. And once again, it's mainly just because we have such good options in the game right now. If I was to make a tier list of all the Fortnite mobility items from like every season combined, the shockwaves, the Nimbus Cloud, the grapple glove, and the Rift-to-Go would probably all be S tier. And all of those items are currently in the game right now. So the smoke bomb is good, don't get me wrong, but there's just much better mobility options that I would rather use personally. So I don't think it changes the game too much from that perspective. Again, maybe it could be useful and competitive because you can just constantly stay in the smoke effect and that could be helpful. But for public matches, I don't see myself using it too much, even though you can make it infinite. I would still rather just have like Nimbus Cloud or Shockwaves. So the final thing we're going to talk about is the Suppressed Scar. And this is actually a really interesting item because it has a really unique bloom pattern. Most weapons, when you shoot them, the bloom kind of expands at the same rate all the time. And so you don't really see that much thought that goes into the bloom-based weapon. But with the Suppressed Scar, what's interesting is it has very little bloom at first. But if you full spray it, the like total bloom that it will eventually get to is massive. So you really need to be mindful of when you're tap firing this weapon, when you're bursting this weapon, and when you're full spraying. Anything outside of like 30 meters or so, you probably do not want to full spray, and you're going to want to burst or tap. And you can actually tap this thing rather fast if you just get in a game and practice with it. You can tap it at a very fast rate and constantly have first shot accuracy the entire time. So it is a very accurate weapon, and this was very deadly with L2 spam aim assist back in the day, where every time you ADS'd it like snapped to the person, and you combine that with the tapping of this weapon, and it was pretty disgusting. That doesn't work anymore. They patched it like 2 years ago. But the Suppressed Scar is still very good, and you could still tap fire this weapon or like burst it depending on the situation, and you will get a very accurate weapon. And that's why I was saying it has an interesting bloom pattern. Most of the weapons you just use the same way all the time no matter what. But with this one, you really need to be mindful of when you're bursting, when you're tap firing, or when you're full autoing, because the maximum bloom is very large, but the bloom increase per shot isn't very large. So if you use it appropriately, it's a very accurate and very deadly weapon. But so many people just full spray all the time and they think this weapon is terrible, but it's really just because you're using it wrong. I wish more bloom weapons in the game had a very interesting pattern like this one, but this is really the only one that has a really interesting pattern. And so does that make it viable in game? The suppression effect is actually quite helpful in Zero Build, especially in chaotic moments or chaotic end games. You can third party and people really won't know where you are. And a lot of Zero Build end game just comes down to hopefully not getting third partied. Because when you do get third-partied, you can't build or anything to protect yourself, and it is so timing-based. And so the suppression element is quite nice for that. And as far as an actual AR goes, I'm not really sure where I would rank this. I still think the AUG is the best for Zero Build for me personally and how I want to play. But the second best AR, I feel is very close between the Combat AR, the Hammer AR, and the Suppressed Scar. And all of those options are very, very, very good. If in my opinion, the AUG is S tier, the Combat AR, the Hammer AR, and the Suppressed Scar are all A+. They're very close, they're very good, and it really will just come down to preference. I feel which AR you want to use. So those are my thoughts on the Suppressed Scar. So now we're going to talk about the Dragon Ball Z items briefly. So they're harder to get now. It used to be they were really easy to get. You could get them from the vending machines. The capsules seem to be spawning a bunch. And because of that, it seemed like most of the time, everybody you killed would have the Dragon Ball Z items. So it was really easy to just not even worry about it at all. And if you got kills, you were going to get the Dragon Ball Z items. That is not how it is anymore. There's less to go around and less people have it. And that makes it so if you have the Nimbus Cloud, you have an even greater advantage than what you had before, because you can move around the map so much and people can't necessarily chase you, or they can't necessarily match that movement and get to as many places as you can get to as fast as possible. And with less people having it, people aren't going to be as used to playing against it anymore, so they're not going to predict it as much. So I feel you should definitely be mindful of where the capsules are dropping and go out of your way to get it if you can. I think having a Nimbus Cloud is a huge advantage now. It used to, it was always a huge advantage, but since so many people had them, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And if you were able to kill players, you were going to get one. But now I feel you have to actually, intentionally go out of your way to get it sometimes. And when you have it, you do have a distinct advantage. The scarcity of it, I feel makes it even better when you have one. You have an even greater advantage over the playing field when you're able to secure this item. So that is going to be it for today's video. I don't think the meta changed too much. My personal loadout would still be AUG, Auto Shoddy, Shockwaves, Chug Splashes, and the Nimbus Cloud. Nothing really changed for me personally, the suppressed scar is a really good weapon. It might be something that changes the game for you. And I feel like you definitely want to go out of your way more to get the Nimbus Cloud. It is really good, and it always has been good, but since less people have it, you're going to have an even greater advantage if you are able to secure one for yourself. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite loadout is. And if you guys did enjoy this video or find it helpful and informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.